Good afternoon, Benton Harbor.
Good
Uh,
afternoon, 4922.
good afternoon. Good afternoon. We're back today with another week of chat with the chief. We are here broadcasting on the Benton Harbor Department of Public Safety Facebook page, as well as the City of Benton Harbor YouTube channel. On here with my illustrious brother, Greg Abrams, the illustrious chief from Benton Township, our brother, 49022 leader, and then also the fantastic mayor of the city of Benton Harbor, one extremely famous, used to be able to shoot a basketball, Marcus Muhammad. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Chiefs.
Afternoon.
Good to have you here on the show. Again, this is Chat with the Chief. We're on every Thursday at 1 o'clock. We are on live, and then it can also be, we're broadcast to Benton Harbor Department of Public Safety Facebook page, as well as the City of Benton Harbor YouTube page. And of course, you can go back and replay that anytime if you don't catch it live. So we are on, again, this is our third week of bringing Chat with the Chief back, the Chat with the Chief with both chiefs, which we're very proud of bringing two communities together. I had somebody tell me this week that they did a search to Chat with the Chief, and they find only two in the country, Mayor, ours and one down in Oklahoma. So we think it's a great way to get on, allow the people to chat with us. This is Chat with the Chief, you guys. So we want to hear from you. So you have the ability, if you're on our Facebook page or our YouTube page, your chat should come up. Now, we have been having some technical difficulties. I'm supposed to be able to see him. I have not been able to, but Chief Abrams has been able to see him, and Mayor will probably be able to see him. So we'll keep an eye on that just to make sure that we get that recognized, because I don't know again why I'm not able to. But anyway, again, we're here today, chat with the chief, and we have really, honestly, Mayor, we have been on a roll. Chief Abrams and I have been phone conversations and meetings since the press conference um, that we did a couple of weeks ago, and then I think that was the first week that we started chat with the chief. So it's at three weeks ago now. Really, the community has really responded. It has been absolutely amazing. And for those who may not know or just recall, we did a press conference in relation to the escalation of violence that has happened in our community. And again, remember, we are the reason we come together with Benton Harbor City, Benton Township, is because we believe that we are one. We are one unit. We're 1490222. So when it comes to crime and things that are done of that nature, there's no separation. You know, although there is a Benton Township Police Department, a Benton Harbor City Public Safety Department, that doesn't matter when they cross lines. And it's been the public comment reaction has been phenomenal, applauding the fact that we are working together and no longer in silos. So that's great. So with that being said, we had that press conference, and ever since then, it's been full steam ahead. There's been citizens that have contacted us that ask what they can do, how can they be involved to help their community.
Uh-oh. You froze up there, Chief.
I may have dropped for a second, but a movement seems to be happening of
So
people.
Chief Abrams,
There you go. He's back.
he's back
Yeah,
on.
I got dropped for a second. It's like it happens the first kind of minute or so, but I'm back. So I must have dropped your in. You can hear me. So I was just saying very quickly, there's a movement that seemed to be started with people coming forward saying, we're tired of the violence. We're tired of what's going on. What can we do to help? And it's been phenomenal. It's turning into a movement. So I want to say, Mayor, I wanted you on here to give you an opportunity. Last week we had Kathy Yates, the township supervisor, and actually that press conference really was your baby that we executed. So kind of tell us what your thoughts were when you had made the very great decision to have the press conference, and what your vision is for Benton Harbor, not just moving forward through solving the violence issue, but the vision for the city. So we'll go ahead and give you the floor, Mayor, and talk about what you want to see.
Well, thank you, Chief McGinnis, first of all, for your dedication, commitment, long-standing uh, efforts in the city of Benton Harbor, from a lieutenant and even as I don't want to say a private officer, but
Patrolman. Yeah.
patrolman.
Yep.
And
Very old.
now, you walked up the ladder, and nobody can say that, you were exalted for any other reason than your hard work and commitment. And I see the same on the other side with Chief Abrams. So it's really a jewel to have, two black, and I say that unapologetically, because we need black patrolmen, we need black officers that are lieutenants. We also need black police chiefs. They matter. So Benton Township, Benton Harbor is happy, and we should feel blessed to have the two of you. Actually, the press conference, I was more like a midwife. Uh, Superintendent Gates called me and she said, "Man, I've been getting calls from every direction." And she said, she felt that we should come together and make a collective statement, a joint statement, to address the uptick in violence or some of the isolated shootings that occurred. And I said, that's a great idea, because we've never done it in that way. We've had press conference, we've had clergy, we've had different law enforcement agencies, pardon me, but we've never had where both governments, executive heads, come together with law enforcement, with clergy, and that's what happened. And I can see not only a change, but I see a change in the climate of our communities. And have we had an incident here or there since? Probably so. But the cooperation, the communication, the collaboration that I'm beginning to see with citizens and law enforcement is, I think, what we all desire. And I think that, as they say in the rap world, it's all the way up from here. Uh, so I'm excited. I was see uh, you all at the high school. Even though it was a situation that was bad, but one of the things that I like to do, Chiefs, is find the good. What can we take away that was positive? And when I talk to mayors across the country, and I've talked to other elected officials, they walk away from situations where there are casualties, where it's murders, children killed, staff killed, some really horrific situations. While, last week we didn't have at the high school one person hospitalized, one staff person endangered, um, nobody, wounded or injured. So those are takeaways for me, where we can walk away and say, okay, we had a disturbance, we had an issue, but our law enforcement agencies came together, protected students, protected parents, protected staff, and we have a protected community. So kudos to the work that was done there. And, however my office can support as the mayor, I'm all behind it.
So, man, let me ask you one question before we turn over to Chief Abrams, give us an introduction for or update for his week this week. One of the things we said in this press conference, we said this before, and Chief Abrams and I agree. it's not the best thing to try to arrest our way out of this situation. It takes a community coming together. Police department should really just be kind of the help to the community norms. So, with that being said, what is it can we do as a community? When I say we, all of us, not just police, not just sheriff, but we as the community, as the 49022, as Ben Harbor, what can we do in order to help stop this and give a solution and make our communities safe and the family that, quite frankly, while we love Ben Harbor is a big old family. And right now we're having some disruptions for some outside forces. What can citizens do, or what can the city do, in your eyes, to come and work together?
Well, I think we've taken a step in the right direction by calling all of the different groups, clergy, nonprofit, after school programs, local school districts, local government, where we all can find ways to uh, empower one another and work together. But it starts with communication, where people can see our law enforcement department as a entity that's serving and protecting, not patrolling and pestering. Where some people may see it that way. I had a young man come into and tell me, he said, the state boys, they did this, they can't. And I said, well, you know what? Help me help you.
Right.
Where we can
There
get
you
the
go.
guns off the street, where we can get the shootings down, where we can get the calls down for um, assault and violence, then that helps me where I can say, this is not an environment where we have to, pull over or, you know, uh, look for this and look for that. We have an environment where, people are law abiding, people are interacting with law enforcement in positive ways and see themselves as a arm of our local police departments where, we can develop a new culture, and this is what I would like to see, where we develop a new culture where this stop snitching, don't snitch, where we have, you know, homes being shot up, we have, property being destroyed, church mothers being disrespected, where we figure, I'm not going to say nothing. And that's how we create an unsafe community
Right.
where we're not willing to report all slackness, weakness, and wrongdoing. We have to have a culture where we're willing to call out wrong.
Yes.
We're not going to protect wrongdoers. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to become punitive where
Right.
we're out to get somebody, but we want to be restorative. Where if there is a problem, how can we help you? You made a mistake. Okay, how can we correct it? How can we remedy it? Oh, you need to pay some consequences for what you did. Okay, let's look at that. But when you do pay your consequences, when you come back, we got a way to help you. You see what I'm- So we
Yeah.
gotta find that medium in that way to where people feel safe to say something, but at the same time, we're no longer going to allow for those, few bad apples to pull down the good image
Right.
and the greatness of our communities.
So, Chief Abrams, um, I'm curious to hear, and we're going to give Ben Harbor, we're going to give you an update of these things where we've been referring to. Chief Abrams, what has been your take since, I guess, from your perspective, us coming together? 'Cause I think we both agree that that's what was the best interest of our community. But what's been your experience these 3 weeks since this press conference? Again, you're the one who said this is turning into a movement. What's your impression on how it's gone so far with us? Because I'm seeing on both sides, people are stopping and thanking us of coming together. It's been amazing for me. What's been your experience, Chief?
My experience, honestly, has been wow, excitement, and I say these things because um, in my township, I've been keeping an eye on some of the complaint load that comes in, and yeah, we haven't solved all our problems, but the ones that we are solving is starting to show. Our shootings are down, despite the one we just had
Right.
recently between the borders of township and the city. And to talk about that real quick, so we actually have a suspect that we're looking at. That's probably going to be prosecuted here in the real near future. My detectives and the task force are doing a great job on tracking this person down, and that's pretty much all I can say about that. But it's just that the response from community leaders, the clergies, the mayor, um, everybody I've talked to are excited about this movement, and everybody wants to do something, and they're willing to get their hands dirty. They're willing to be accountable, and that's what we're looking for. To see something, say something. For me, from what I'm hearing, is starting to work. We're starting to get little tips in here and there on different crimes that we've been investigating, and I think for the most part 80% of our community wants to do right. They want to be held accountable for how they live and how they perceive in their community. I think it's been great. I know we got a lot of work to do, but
Right.
we're slowly stepping toward it. I just tell everybody, you just got to remember, you know, we are a small entity when it comes to Ben Harbor, Benton Township. We can't solve every problem all at once. We can't take on, everybody's issues at the same time. Got to give us some time. Let us work through these things, and we're going to get through them.
It's outstanding. So let me go back if I can do just kind of an update. All right. So one of the things that is important to us, Benton Harbor, for myself, Chief Abrams, for us, our leadership is it's one thing to talk about something, but you're gonna bring some type of solution. So again, going back to the press conference, that was a very good launching point. Thank you, Mr. Midwife. That was so funny. um, and I think Brother Shaquille Turner had asked the question, okay, like what exactly, what are some steps you're talking about? What are you going to do? And that was kind of the launching point, and we were things coming together. Then, of course, 2 days later was our first chat with the chief back when we were doing it together. Um, and then that day, again, that week was amazing because I had two separate calls from citizens that said, we have a group of people. We want to get together with you and talk about what we can do as citizens to help curtail the violence. Then I called you, was all excited. And then as soon as we hung up, I got another call from another group saying the same thing. So, that is amazing where people are now, we've been asking people to kind of step up, reclaim your city. There's more of us than there's of them as far as those that cause trouble. It was amazing. So now we got people who are coming and saying, Mayor, hey, we want to sit down and talk about some solutions. Good idea or bad idea that we're having a conversation. Said, hey, I got two pastors, two organizations. Can you and Chief Abrams be at a meeting next week? Absolutely, we can. Which that we were held that yesterday, and I'm gonna kind of go into that again. I want to put out some solutions that have been put out there, and mind you, we got to look at this from a couple of different perspectives, Ben Harbor. So yeah, there's really kind of two cohorts that we're looking at. There's the young group that's high school, that's school age, that got some issues going on up there. And I've been on my phone because we had another issue at the high school. I was getting update on, so that's what me looking down on. I don't want to be disrespectful. And then both my deputy directors are out today, so they left me in charge. So I got to pay attention. But we had a meeting. There were some suggestions. So we got the school age kids, and then we got, of course, the ones at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. They're early to mid 20s. All right, so we got kind of two different groups going on. And I think we said in the press conference that the best thing to do is to grab a cohort, especially if they're young, and try and affect to change them as they move up in age and through school. And then, of course, the older group probably would get a little bit more law enforcement. But as far as actually everyone who wants change can get change, with services and programs. But we see right now there's been a pretty rocky start to the school year, and meeting with the superintendent yesterday, meeting with assistant principal Mr. Alexander, who is a tremendous individual who definitely cares about his community. Uh, Pastor McAfee, Pastor Charlie Jones from Beautiful Gate, of course, Pastor Robinson sat down in this room and talked about some things. And obviously, when you get people in groups, they start to kind of go off kilter sometimes. We stayed on track, we stayed on point, and talked about some things from that perspective of that group. Then directly after that, I went and met with actually another person. Shaquille came to my office. There's another group that's working on an aspect of the kids who the ones who may get kicked out or ones who might be more at risk. What kind of services and support can they receive? So you might say, well, that sounds all well and good, Chief, but what is that doing for violence now? Well, you know what? It's a two-pronged thing. We got to look at moving forward in the future and grabbing a cohort and trying to affect them, as well as dealing with what we deal with now. So one of the main things that came up in both groups, two main concepts, was support for those families that have kids that might be leaning towards incorrigibility, or basically, as we say back in the day, not minding, um, and those who want help but don't know how to get help before their kids get too far off into incorrigibility. Um, and also, and here was again, this was a common thread in both meetings, unrelated, of having some type of central hub where different groups and organizations know what each other's doing to be able to more successfully offer services to families and children or whatever, that they know about it. We can refer to them each other and be more effective. And that makes absolutely perfect sense. I myself got somebody I'm mentoring, got a text from the mom like, hey, she's refusing to go to school today for no reason. Why is that? Maybe that's something that, maybe strong talk from Chief might not help, but maybe some counseling from an actual counselor trained in that position. So we're looking at some things right now to kind of trying to right the ship at the high school, if you will. So let me just kind of go over some things we talked about. Um, then I want to give you an update as far as some investigations. But again, another thing I want to tell you is people, our chief mayor, coming forward and speaking. I'm getting calls for tips. I had a citizen came in with a video of a person committing a crime, damaging their property, and turn it over. I thought about maybe showing it, but that is what we need. If you got video, because we're starting to get obviously homes video everywhere, and if people trust us and feel they can come in and share that information either via email or bring it in, and again, even if they want to be anonymous, that's fine, but that goes a long way. So makes it very easy for a warrant request to be done for this individual. We'll pick him up, and then the person who was damaged, the victim, the property owner, can request restitution. That happened over the course of a day. If you cooperate with us, we can make things happen rather quickly. Because again, video speaks 1,000 words, and this person was easily identifiable. So we're seeing again with Chief Abrams, we say there's a movement starting. Yes, citizens of Benton Harbor are starting a movement to take back their communities from the violence, and I think they're starting to get the message that, hey, if I communicate, if I see something, I say something. If I tell it, my thing is I'm telling, because this is my town, this is my community. Maybe your mom lived over on Pavone for 30 years. She has a right to be safe and secure in her person. So I'll pause right there real quick before I actually get into some of the programs. Mayor, your thought, and then followed by Chief, and I'll talk about specifically some things that we're going to do like right now with some organizations.
So one of the things, someone sent me this after they said they watched the press conference, and they said some of the proposals or things that could be proposed. One was implementing a uh, trauma education uh, class, that could be, an elective at the school, or it could be something done with parents as well, where, there would be, it incorporates videos, guest speakers, hands-on activities um, that are related to trauma and gun violence, as well as students. I don't know. I know they used to have where they could visit prisons or talk to funeral home directors or visit hospitals to understand trauma and the effects. One of the other things that they had mentioned with the was mentorship programs for new parents and older parents, where how to help a teenager. Where you and I, Chief McGinnis, we have daughters in college, but we may have young people who have children who are going to middle school or just going to grade school, and they need mentoring in terms of parenting. People talk, all these parents, man, these parents are so bad. Well, how can we get the parents support? And here is saying experienced parents with young families, mentorship can provide guidance, support, a sense of community. The other thing was family counseling services, where we offer accessible family counseling services to help families navigate challenges to improve relationships. That's another big thing. A lot of our problems stem from relationships have gone bad. Parent-child classes, where we create classes where parents and children can learn together, such as cooking, gardening, music, etc. But just different ways where we can begin to engage. But the big takeaway for me is helping and supporting the where we have mentorship and parenting skills in classes where we can, help empower parents so they can empower their children.
That is awesome.
Yes, sir. Chief Abrams.
I have to agree with everything Mr. Muhammad said. We do have to have more in mentorship. Um, I only wish sometime that I had just enough officers and enough time to send them out, to do different things. And I'm hoping to be fully staffed here by the end of uh, next year. We're close now, to be able to even send officers out there just for the smallest thing, um, to start connecting with our children. There's so many things I have rolling around in my mind that I want to do, and most of the time when I'm on something, I do it. And Chief, again, as you know me, I'm that guy who's gonna call you at 10 o'clock at night with an idea and say, "Let's do this," because I never stop thinking, because it's the community I live in, about how I can move things forward. And sometimes when you have those thoughts, you just have to run with them and try to put boots to the ground. Because, like I told one of the citizens not too long ago, I said, yes, the press conference was great. I said, now it's time for the work. And I've seen press conferences happen before where it appeared that it was a press conference, but nothing really happened that the community can see after that. So my goal is to not let this thing slip away from us, keep moving forward. But we're going to need our citizens to give us ideas about what we can do to make things better in our community. Um, the high school, we're going to need that board to say, hey, what can we do, with the school system to help move them along as well. Just being involved is what I'm saying. It's going to be an ongoing thing that it just needs to keep going until it can be exhausted.
Okay. Chief, you can do a favor. Your radio is really coming across kind of.
It's really
Yeah.
loud. Okay.
Yeah.
The last
So
time I had it down, I couldn't.
yeah.
Yeah. But okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So um again, I for some reason the comments are not coming through, but I'm actually looking at Facebook, and again we're transparent here, and there's a comment by a family member. I can't put on the screen, and he says this is what you call him, Mr. Isaiah, wrote a complaint to the. Let me go back. His brother was unfortunately a victim of a killing back in 20. Still unsolved. And he said he wrote a complaint to me never heard back from me. Left a number, left an address. Um, we've had issues with getting messages, so I did put it in the chat. Call me directly, so we can set something up. But this is actually a good segue, and the reason again I wanted to read this because this is chat with the chief. Not all comments going to be warm and fuzzy. We understand that. Shaquille, don't get started. Actually, you owe me something from we talked about yesterday. So before you get started, you need to send me the proof of what we talked about. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna put it out there, but I want to see from my own eyes what you told me yesterday. Um, anyway, so Mr. Isaiah. So here's one thing, Chief Abrams, Mayor, that internally I've said a lot. So us at Ben Harbor, and I want you to make sure you hear me, Mr. Isaiah. We do a lot of good work here in our DB, and we have a lot of with all the resources that we have. We don't always put out all the arrests and all the things that we do, really because there's so many ongoing investigations. We don't want to compromise those. So we're kind of a victim of our own success. So I'm definitely want to sit down and meet with this family here, but I just want to give you an idea. And I want you to hear me on this, especially Mr. Isaiah, because I guarantee that what he's talking about is in here. So just this year, okay, just this year alone, I think since July, I think going back to 20 from June, I'm sorry, July to this year to I think about a year ago, there were 3 guns seized and 7 casings that were linked to 55 incidents. Let me say that again. We have in evidence, and we are working cases in leads, and actually we have several arrests. And this is only a small snapshot of what the work that we do and the resources that we have and the tools that we use. And I'll be the first to admit, family members out there, we need to do a better job of communicating updates to our families. I said it, I put it out there. That's something that we need to do better at in Benton Harbor. We do a lot of good work. Chances are, I guarantee you, this case is still on our board. We need to make sure that we're keeping up in contact with the families to give them updates. So that's going to be my pledge to you. That's what we need to do, just so you'd have that. So anyway, these are, again, a small snapshot. 3 gun seized and 7 shell casings that them alone linked to 55 incidents, 30 of which were in Benton Harbor. We've made 10 arrests. On again, we have a large, probably about 12 feet map of guns, shell casings linked to different events that the detectives are working on. Again, we have 3 indictments. There are 17 guns still to be recovered. All this from 7/29 to the beginning of the year, with links going back as far as 2020. And we also have links to cases in Benton Harbor. So again, Benton Harbor and Benton Township just don't work here. We help other agencies in Benton. We have cases in Sullivan Kalamazoo from this evidence. We have cases in Battle Creek from this evidence. We know we have cases in South Bend and Grand Rapids from this evidence. So let me say again, just in 3 guns and scenes were shot, and this is why it's important. If there's shooting on your street, or your house gets hit by a bullet, call us. Let us come and collect that evidence, because we are taking these shell casings and these bullets and linking them to. My detectives tells me there's about 7 guns that are linked to multiple, even beyond the 55 I just mentioned, to beyond 55 other shootings. So I want to make sure, Mr. Isaiah, that I get an update for your case. And again, we're going to pledge to do a whole lot better. But just know that we are working behind the scenes. Matter of fact, we made 3 major arrests last week from the BJ shooting. Again, we need to do a better job of communicating that. But we have made arrests, and I think we have arrested most of our major shootings and homicides this year. So I just want to put that out there as an update on what we're doing. Of course, working together with Benton Township, we're getting it done, but we don't always broadcast it. but we will do a better job of making sure families are kept up to date with what we're doing. And I appreciate any other comments or questions that Mr. Elijah would have or anyone else on here. And Chief Gray, again, we want to be transparent. And if we didn't do well communicating, I'm saying that publicly here to the world. Chief Abrams, we work together and we're solving cases over there too. You want to speak to maybe how things are going up, some updates we talked about before we got started for cases in Benton
Well,
Township.
it was the joint efforts between Benton Harbor, Benton Township detectives, along with the Michigan State Police, um, to get these cases solved in the beginning. So we are, if you can't tell by the amount of cases we've closed or made arrest, you know, that's because maybe we haven't put it out there like we should, just like you said, Dan. But we are closing cases. We're getting these guys off the streets. I have to call them thugs because that's what they are. When you take an innocent life because somebody hugged your girlfriend, I'm sorry. That's not a way to, to deal with that. I think our Ben Harbor youth have an emotional problem. Not dealing with their emotions when it comes to um, dealing with things that upsets them. For lack of better words. But these cases are being closed. Yeah, the wheels turn slow. There's evidence that has to be processed. We don't want to put things out there falsely or have somebody come back and say, well, you said. No, we don't want to do that. We want
Right.
to put things out there the right way, and give the citizens the right information. I just had and Dan, you was talking about the video that somebody brought into you about a case. So I had a gentleman come in 2 days ago because we were actively working the Jessica Gray case. If anybody knows about that case, she came up missing a couple years ago during an incident, and this man just came in off the street and said, "Hey, I have some information I want you to have." And they know that we're trying to um, make Benton Harbor, Benton Township, a better place to live. And he's like, "I'm leaving and I'm moving out of the area, but I just can't let this sit on my mind, knowing that I have this information." And he gave us his information. So, and I'll put that out there. If anybody has any information on the Jessica Gray case, please give Benton Township Police a call. Please give our detectives a call. We really want to give closure, for this family. Carolyn Gray contacts me all the time to check on updates, and I give her what I have. I let my detectives know if leads come in so they can start looking at these leads. But we are following up on cases. I have a cold case sheet that starts from before when I started here at Benton Township. We're looking at those too. We've even sent one of the cases over, to be investigated by the FBI because the case is old, but they're looking into it and they're making headway. So these things are being done. And Dan, I do applaud you for, starting this chat with the chief, because honestly, it was a platform for us to put out there the things that we are doing in the community. And this is something that's never been done before. And since we're like only the second in the country, is what you said, to do
Right now.
something like this, yeah, I mean that speaks volumes that we really want to see change, and we're going to go after change hard.
Amen. Um, so when you mentioned Greg Cole cases, I think in Ben Harbor, quite honestly, um, because we have so many great resources and tools, and these cases aren't up being linked, we don't necessarily have the traditional cold case, if you will. A lot of these
Mhm.
cases are for us, Ben Harbor, are being investigated concurrently when we find that there are links to certain, weapons. So
Mhm.
again, we unfortunately we don't tell that out publicly, but I think we'll do better as far as keeping families posted. And here's the thing, honestly, if there are no further leads and we run into a roadblock, we need to say that also.
Mhm.
Now I will say again to our defense, not making excuses, it is busy. Between Benton Harbor, of course, when we get something going, the detectives are working together, township and city. So city's working township cases, township's working city cases. Um, so a lot of things happening quickly, and then of course you get another couple incidents. So again, we just have to get a mechanism in place to make sure we maintain proper communication. Again, I make no excuses about that, but we are indeed busy. So Again, here's my number here if anyone wants to see me. We do have had breakdowns in our phone system. I don't have an assistant as of yet. So if you do have something you've turned in or want to get in contact with me here, this is my direct dial right here to my office, 927-8425. So look forward to
Chief,
me. Yes, sir.
so I just want to weigh in if I can.
Yes, sir.
That's very consoling to hear, Chief Abrams, that there's been some breakthrough with the Jessica Gray case. That family contacted me, and of course, I shared with them that it's out of my jurisdiction. But just case in point, where it takes the power of the people to come forth who may have information that's needed, and it may be small to you, but it could be a part of the case that could blow it wide open.
That's
Yes.
right.
So we sat through the horror of 30 years with the McGinnis case. And some of the information came forward early, some came later. But families need justice.
Yeah.
Yes, they
And
do.
when they say no justice, no peace, that's not no justice, no protest. That's peace of mind.
Yes.
That's being able to move forward as a family and come from the grieving stage to the healing stage.
Yeah.
But if you have information, critical information that you can bring forward to help a family get justice, then it's critical that you do that, because you know this is generational hurt and pain,
Yeah.
where a loved one is killed or murdered and 10 or 100 people were there, but nobody is saying anything.
Right.
And murder is wrong, killing is wrong.
No
I
doubt
don't care
about it.
how you slice it or dice it. Self-defense is something different, but murder, homicide, we got to stop it.
Got to
And we
stop.
can't just jump down on it if it's an issue where it's a civilian in police, right? But we also have to be just as vehemently against or opposed where if it's us killing us or any murder,
Right.
because an
That's right.
innocent life, one innocent life, is as if all have been killed if we won't come forward to support and help to bring justice.
So, man, one of the most frustrating things I think that I see is, and I think probably most families that have been victimized would agree with this, is that the chatter goes out on the street really quickly, off if not immediately. Well, people will be whispering what they saw, but we walk over to try to canvass them or talk to them. They walk off or whatever. And I think that what makes it so difficult is that a lot of times, quite frankly, it's no secret to who did what. It's just no one wants to step up and say anything. And then the families see now, because now they're affected by this cycle, the circle of not saying anything, and they just continue to be victimized and be entrenched in their grief and get no closure. And I just would simply ask, people out there, think about that as if you were them, or that was your family. That was your son, your daughter, your grandson, your granddaughter, your niece, your nephew, and let us know what's being said. I've said before, we want the information at Benton Harbor, Benton Township. We'll ferret through it. We'll check the veracity of it. But if we don't get it, then that leads to, again, cases being unsolved when people, eyewitnesses, I've had officers almost every scene you pull up, they'll see 10, 20 people, but trying to get out their car, get to try to assess in the scene, they're gone. So it's those people that are would be greatly would affect the safety and security of our community by just saying, I saw so and so do this, it's over this, and we're not standing for it anymore. So we don't get the emails and the phone calls and have to have the meetings with the families on why this happened, or and why nothing is being done from their perspective. So again, if you see something, say something, because at the end of the day, unfortunately, if we don't stop this cycle, that could be you. That could be somebody close to you. That could be your brother, your sister,
And they're
you know,
going to
your
want
mother, your
justice.
father. Yeah. Chief, jump in.
They're going to want justice. I tell everybody, put yourself in that person's shoes, how you would feel if that was your family member. You're going to want somebody to say something so we can bring that person to justice. But don't be two-faced. Don't be two-faced. Don't say, well, if this, I'll talk about that, but I'm not going to talk about this. No, talk about it, period. The Jessica Gray case is kind of near and dear to my heart because I have a family member who was kind of close to Jessica. And, every now and then she'll just call me crying out of the blue. Have you guys heard anything? So it's like, I feel her pain. Her pain is my pain because she's my family. And when Carolyn calls me, I feel her pain. And I'm just not going to stop until we get some justice for Jessica Gray. And anybody else out there who has family members in cases that have not been solved, we feel your pain. And as long as I'm sitting in this seat, one way or another, we're going to work toward justice for your family as well. We just have to. We have to do it.
Yeah. So, Chief, you make your passion in what you just said makes a point that I've said before to a family that we met with, and that here is where I think there is a communication disconnect. A lot of people don't know. So, Mayor, a lot of people don't understand that officers, especially detectives, we take these homicides extremely seriously. We take them I should say we take them personally. I know when I was a detective, I would burn with inner rage on looking at mothers and fathers crying, sisters, girlfriends, wives, and we take it personally. That fuels our fire. It's a blue hot fire that's in us. Where the breakdown comes is again the communication of. I've had cases where I couldn't sleep at night, or I thought about morning, noon, or night until I got them solved, and we all go through that. And my detectives are no different. But again, is the communicate. This is a learning thing. This whole conversation, I think, is for me bring to memory like, okay, we have to do a better job of updating and communicating, because if you understood the nature of how personally and angry we get when we are seeing families victimized. Yes, the victim is gone, but the not only is the victim's family affected, the suspect's family will ultimately be affected when we catch them. So it's not just mothers and fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers, aunts, uncles, cousins, children, sons, daughters, goes on and on. People you went to school with that you're cool with, everyone gets affected. So you multiply that by two, because on the suspect side, it's now this mother and father have lost their son. This brother and sister lost their brother, who might go to prison for a very long time. So it has an effect that really spiders through the community, and we don't see initially when we're at that party at 4 o'clock in the morning, standing out in 202 North Fair, what the ramifications will be for years to come, literally to the deaths of the parents and the husbands and wives that lost their loved ones. So it's very important for us to make sure that we continue to communicate. Again, good or bad. Hey, we have nothing, or hey, can't tell you much, but the case is moving. We'll keep you posted as we go. We got to do better than that to share our humanity of how angry we get when our citizens are being slain. Again, I speak from experience. You heard it in Chief Gregg's his demeanor of this means something to us. This is why we do what we do. And Chief, you can speak to that, taking it personally when our people are hurt.
Yes, this is for any and all families. To have to deliver a family member a death notification is one of the hardest things for me to do, because I know in my heart how that family member or whoever I delivers this notification to is going to react. Um, I find myself honestly shedding tears when I've had to do it, because
Yeah.
the pain is the anguish they're feeling is just it's so intense. And you feel so sorry, that this had to happen to them, that it hurts you. It hurts you down deep. And for those of us who are God fearing people, we have this great empathy for one another, and their pain is our pain. So for me, that pain is a motivator for me to go out and make sure that these cases get solved, to make sure that I'm in touch with my detectives, any officer that has information, staying in touch with the family to make sure that they didn't find anything or didn't talk to anybody who had further information, so, like I said, I get choked up about talking about these cases because a lot of them are coming back to mind. I worked a lot of homicides in my day, and just delivering those death notifications was just a hard thing to do. But a lot of those families we did get justice for, and that's what we're going to continue to do here at 49022. I'm happy the mayor is got our backs. I appreciate you, I really do. I appreciate you being on the show today and what you've shared. I see your vision. I want to be a part of that vision. Dan, I want to be a part of your vision, and just thank you for accepting me into this group so we can do this together.
Can I just lastly, Chief, if I could end on this point?
Yes, sir. So we about to end. So I was going to go to you for
Okay.
your final thoughts, and we're going to go ahead and get out of here.
So, my people say, Mayor, we need jobs. We need, we don't have a skating rink. We don't have a rec center. We don't have all of these different things, but that takes investment.
Mm-hmm.
And when people invest in businesses, which a skating rink is a business, they have to know that they're investing in an environment or in a community that's safe.
That's right.
Then now my investment can be protected.
Right.
That's right.
But I can't invest money in a skating rink or in, a club or whatever it may be, restaurants and business, if I feel like people signature or where people going to be in my parking lot 200-300 damaging my property.
Right.
That's when we
Mhm.
see businesses leave,
Say that.
or we see people who are afraid to invest in our community, which would bring jobs, because we have gunplay and issues at the school. Who would not want to have a great party store right across the street from Benton Harbor High School? Now, I don't know if Chief would want that, right? But I can say that it was something when it was done right. When Mr. Hunt had it, we went in, we got our stuff, we left. And we didn't have issues where, but people have to feel safe in order
That's right.
to invest. And that's
That's
how
right.
you get economic development. That's how we'll get more jobs. But we got to work with our public safety to make that happen. So thank you again, my brothers. I do have to run. So if I can be excused.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We're about to
Thank,
close anyway, but thanks for coming on, Mayor. We definitely
Thank you, Mayor.
appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
And
thank you.
yeah, you take care.
All right.
Chief,
Thank you.
Chief, you
All
got
right.
some closing remarks here for this show. We're gonna get out of here.
Yes, my closing remarks is, once again, if you see something, say something. Our ears are open, and if you and don't just try one time to get a hold of us and say, "Well, I tried to tell them, sorry." No, put some effort into it. This thing takes effort. It takes work. We're busy, and I get that. And you might not get that call the day you make it. You may not get the information might not get across to the right person the day that you disseminate it, but just know it's going to get done, and it's going to get done properly, and we're going to follow up on it and do the right thing. What you think, Chief?
I agree. And I thank everyone that is been watching Chat with the Chief, and of course, people watching it after the fact. We need to get the word out there more. Granted, realize that we are growing and coming together. Yeah, you got I'm 25-year veteran, Chief Abrams 30-year veteran, but this social media and communication thing is new to us. We just hope that you have you like the fact that we're coming out trying to be transparent. We're not going to hide or run for any issue or issues, and we think this is a key vehicle to be able to communicate with our people and to be able to have that dialogue. I didn't get into a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about as far as the citizen groups and what we're going to do moving forward. I guess maybe we'll talk about that next week because we have a lot of things. Again,
Yeah,
we
we
didn't
do.
get into the gun lock program. We're going to start the senior neighbor chess club, group lectures, and volunteering at the schools. So, but I think where we went is where we needed to go.
I think so.
Again, please spread the word on Chat with the Chief. We're trying to keep it down less than an hour. I'd like to get 40 minutes, but again, we go where the conversation goes. And I think for me, that is it. Again, hopefully I'll get a call from that family and we can sit down and figure out what the status of that particular case is, or anyone out there who has one. Open door policy we have here. So if there would be nothing else, again, Ben Harbor, we thank you for the opportunity for us to be able to serve you first and foremost. And we look forward to seeing you, of course, as we're out in Myers and different places. Always open to speak to anybody about anything. It's football season, so definitely don't mind any football talk. And again, you see when I hit Shaquille with he's supposed to give me proof of what we talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
Now he rushed off, didn't he?
Yeah, he has some things to go do with the
Yeah. Well,
I'm praising for going to take care of the youth.
Yeah, I'm gonna send him some choice words via text. So okay, Ben Harbor, we love you. Until next week, you all be blessed. Find a good church to get into.
Heart up right there. Yeah, there it is.
Church. If you see something, say something. If you got something that happen, feel free to send it to myself or the chief. We'll make sure something happens. And until next week, we will talk to you later.
Bye.